Okay, so you want to buy a casino. You find a building, hire the dealers, and watch the chips come in. On paper, it looks like the most beautiful business model ever designed. Here is the strange, almost insulting part. A casino is perhaps the only legal business on the planet where mathematical law guarantees you a profit on every single dollar that walks through the door. It is the perfect, ruthless implementation of algorithmic certainty. And yet, it is also the exact business where the smartest, wealthiest operators on the planet, armed with billions in capital, keep consistently, spectacularly going bankrupt. By the end of this analysis, you will understand exactly how that is possible. We are going to strip away the neon lights and the cheap glamour to explore why having a mathematical edge on every bet still isn't enough to guarantee survival. We will expose how the most predatory customer retention systems in the world actually function, and why a casino isn't really the business most people think it is. We will analyze the operational fragility that turns this perfect profit engine into a devastating financial black hole, and the raw, cruel reality of who actually pays the price. When we talk about casinos, we need to clarify what scale of extraction we are discussing, because they are completely different businesses, each with escalating levels of operational risk. A small, regional casino, the kind you find in depressed towns in the Midwest, might cost between $2 million and $15 million to acquire. For that money, you get a few dozen flickering slot machines, a sticky bar, and a parking lot full of locals showing up on the first of every month to literally lose their grocery money. The overhead is low, and the customer base is tragic, but perfectly predictable. A mid-sized property runs you $500 million to over $1 billion, requiring massive operational expertise and high-volume consistency just to service the suffocating construction debt. And then there's the Vegas Strip, where the price tag starts getting genuinely sickening. The Cosmopolitan opened for $3.9 billion. But here's the catch. The building, the slots, and the chandeliers. That is just the cover charge. To simply ask to spend billions of dollars, you must first pay for the privilege. In New York, just applying for a license can cost you up to $50 million. And if they reject you, they keep the money. You are basically buying an extraordinarily expensive lottery ticket where the only prize is the legal permission to take an enormous financial risk. And if you go international to Macau, the biggest casino market on earth, generating $28 billion a year, you answer directly to the geopolitical whims of the Chinese government. They issue exactly 6 temporary leases for the entire city. If a billionaire owner angers the regulatory body, their $20 billion investment can be turned off overnight. Now we get to the question that actually matters. Where does the money come from? Every single game in a casino is mathematically rigged. We need to be precise here. They are not rigged in the sense that the casino is actively cheating in the back room. The cards are real, the wheel is honest, and the dice are perfectly clean. It is the fundamental rules themselves that are rigged. The foundational structure of every game guarantees that the casino will always, unavoidably, win more than the player over a statistically significant period. The industry hides behind a very polite, sterile name for this mathematical imbalance: the house edge. The easiest way to visualize this brutality is to imagine you and I are betting on a simple coin flip. If it lands heads, you win $1. If it lands tails, I win $1. That is a fair bet with zero edge. Now, imagine we change one single rule. If it lands heads, you still win $1. But if it lands tails, I take $1 and a nickel. It is the same coin with the same 50-50 probability. But now, every single time we play, on average, I keep 5 cents on one single bet. That nickel is boring. Over 1 million bets, it is absolutely catastrophic for you and incredibly profitable for me. Every casino game is just a different psychological wrapper around that exact same predatory mathematical principle. Take roulette. The classic European wheel has 37 numbered slots. If you bet $100 on a single number and that number hits, the casino hands you $3,500. It feels like a massive victory. But the actual mathematical odds of hitting that number are 36 to 1, not the 35 to 1 they just paid you. You should have been paid $3,600. That missing $100 isn't an accounting error. That is the house silently taking its cut. And because casinos wanted a higher margin, they invented American roulette, adding one extra slot, the double zero. By adding a single pocket, a modification the desperate player barely notices, the casino instantly doubled its edge from 2.7% to 5.26%. The rules remain totally legal. The profitability is perfectly calculated, but the player's life savings just evaporate twice as fast. But table games, despite the Hollywood glamour, are not where the real money lives. The true, dark engine of any casino floor and the source of its highest volume profit are the slot machines. Slot machines typically operate with a house edge of 5 to 15%. This is the part of the model that exposes the true cruelty of the industry, because in this business, the cheaper the machine, the higher the profit margin. Penny slots, the ones where lonely grandmas sit and feed their fixed income change into all afternoon, those are running at a 12 to 15% edge. Per dollar wagered, that elderly woman is statistically the most profitable, highly exploited customer in the entire building. She is contributing 30 times more profit per dollar than a wealthy whale playing perfect blackjack in the high-limit room, where the edge is a mere 0.5%. That is why, if you walk onto any Vegas Strip casino floor, the very first thing you are aggressively hit with is a flashing, deafening sea of slot machines. In 2024, slot machines alone generated nearly $5 billion on the Strip, vastly outperforming all table games combined. This is the perfect profit engine. The math works at every level, extracting maximum wealth from those least equipped to lose it. But if the math mathematically guarantees the profit, why does the casino need all the flashing lights and free drinks? This is where the business model shifts from pure finance into predatory psychology. The math gives the house the edge, but the architecture ensures the customer stays trapped long enough for that edge to fully activate. The goal isn't just to win your money once. The goal is to win absolutely all of it by controlling your entire physical and mental environment. Think back to any casino you have ever been in. Notice what is missing. There are no windows anywhere. There are no clocks on the walls. Time is deliberately, surgically obscured. The lighting is engineered to create a disorienting state of perpetual dusk, regardless of whether it is 2 in the morning or 2 in the afternoon. The carpet patterns are intensely, subtly designed to push your eyes upward toward the slot machines. Even the exit is a calculated trap. The walk from any restaurant to the street deliberately forces you to pass 10 more rows of machines just in case you have a single dollar left in your pocket. The industry calls this engineered immersion. The entire building is a sensory deprivation tank designed to maximize your time on device. And this immersion is optimized by the most surgical customer retention system ever invented, the player's club card. When you walk in, they enthusiastically hand you a free card. From that exact moment, every single bet, every loss, and every hesitation is meticulously tracked. They calculate your theoretical loss, exactly how much money the math dictates you will lose over time. If you bet $10,000 over an evening at a 5% edge, your theoretical loss is $500. The casino then gives you 5 to 10% of that number back in the form of comps, a free dinner, a cheap hotel room, a watered down drink. They did not lose that money out of generosity. They invested it. Every free sandwich is a cold, calculated expense to keep you physically inside the building so the math has more time to process your bankroll into their revenue. Consider the dealers, standing on their feet for 8 hours a day, trained to maintain a perfectly pleasant, entirely empty smile while they systematically bankrupt the people sitting across from them. They watch marriages dissolve over a blackjack table. They watch college funds disappear into a roulette wheel, and their only mandated response is to cleanly sweep the chips away and deal the next hand. The human cost is staggering, but the institution does not measure human cost. It only measures theoretical win. This system scales all the way to the top, targeting the whales. Roughly 0.1% of all casino customers account for over 25% of total casino revenue. 1 in 1,000 people generates a quarter of the entire industry's cash. This is why a casino will happily fly a high roller on a private jet from across the globe, hand them the keys to a 10,000 square foot penthouse, and station a Michelin-starred chef in their suite. Spending $500,000 to host one single customer for a weekend is a perfectly rational operational expense, when that whale's mathematically expected loss is $10 million. The math wins, eventually. The house always extracts its pound of flesh. So, with guaranteed math, billions in revenue, and customers psychologically engineered to lose, how do casino owners ever go bankrupt? Because the guaranteed math only provides the top-line revenue, which must then survive the single most challenging, brutal fistfight in all of modern business: overhead. Out of every dollar of gaming revenue, roughly 70 to 80 cents is entirely gone before the owner sees a dime of profit. A massive resort employs up to 8,000 people, representing thousands of wages that must be paid even if the floor is empty. Taxes are ferocious, with some states taking over 50% on slots. Security is a paranoid nightmare, with more surveillance cameras per square foot than a maximum security prison, requiring a massive department to monitor every table 24 hours a day. Then there are the cards themselves. Every single strip casino swaps fresh decks onto each table every 4 to 8 hours to prevent marking, which adds up to millions of brand new decks thrown into the garbage every single year. The logistics of keeping $150 million in raw, physical cash inside the building are terrifying. They pour tens of thousands of free drinks every day to keep gamblers slightly inebriated so they bet bigger and stay longer. But this creates massive liability, causing casinos to be sued more often than doctors. Everything below the mathematical top line is pure chaos. And when billionaires build massive monuments to their own ego on top of this razor-thin margin, one error is fatal. Almost every famous casino bankruptcy in modern history boils down to two mistakes. The first is the debt trap. Donald Trump opened the Taj Mahal in 1990, financing it with nearly $700 million in junk bonds at 14% interest. Just to survive, the building had to generate $100 million in pure cash profit every year before paying a single employee. It missed its first payment in 6 months and crashed into bankruptcy. A casino cannot survive debt that requires perfect operations from day one, because no casino is perfect on day one. The second mistake is the market fit trap. Developers build multi-billion-dollar properties targeting Wall Street executives who never show up, deliberately alienating the bus trip retirees who actually fund the industry. This leads to horrific fire sales, where $2 billion buildings are sold for mere pennies on the dollar to someone else. The mathematical engine is bulletproof, but the hubris of the men who build on top of it is not. This brutal reality has forced the entire industry to pivot. The casino business itself is so incredibly fragile that modern operators aren't really in the casino business anymore. If you survive the 20-year fistfight of debt and overhead, you realize that gambling is just a tool. Today, only 1/3 of a Vegas mega resort's revenue actually comes from the casino floor. The other 2/3 come from the hotel rooms, the exorbitant restaurants, the resident shows, and the massive corporate conventions. The modern casino is essentially a luxury mall that uses the cruel, perfect math of gambling as a loss leader to drag you inside and trap you for 3 days. They do not care if they lose a little money operating the actual gaming floor, because they will aggressively extract it back when you pay $500 for a basic room and $200 for a steak. So, if you ever find yourself looking at the flashing lights, admiring the perfectly profitable engine of extraction, remember the ultimate rule of this ruthless ecosystem: the house always wins. You just have to make absolutely sure you are the house, because everyone else in the building is just fuel for the machine. We break down exactly how power, money, and businesses really work. If you want to understand the mechanical reality behind these empires, subscribe to Wealth Decoded. Drop a comment below and let me know what industry we should decode next. I'll see you in the next analysis.